I just got out of federal court for the Diddy case, and it is not looking good for the media mogul. Today in court, a Manhattan judge denied bail, pointing to the obvious power imbalances that are at play here, saying that it might lead to potential witnesses feeling intimidated. Okay, so at the center of the prosecution's case, as laid out in that 14-page indictment, are these freak-offs that, according to the indictment, were these elaborately produced sexual performances that were arranged, directed, masturbated to, and recorded by Combs. The indictment also details that ahead of these freak-offs, his staff would set up hotel rooms with extra sheets, baby oil, lubricants. During the raid of his homes, part of the evidence recovered were 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Now, according to the indictment, these drug-fueled sex-offs would last days, with Combs and his victims needing IV drips because of the physical exertion and because of the drug use. They claim that shortly after that incident, where Diddy is seen on surveillance video assaulting Cassie at an Intercontinental hotel back in 2016, that he went and bribed security to make sure he got that footage. To further make the case that he has a history of obstructing justice and intimidating witnesses, they talk about the Don Richard lawsuit. That lawsuit was filed on September 10th. 4 days later, on September 14th, Kalina Harper, who was also in Dirty Money with Don, came out and said, whatever was detailed in that lawsuit isn't my personal experience. Now, why is this important? Because prosecutors say that in those 4 days between the lawsuit and her statement, Diddy called her 128 times and texted her 58 times, and then after her statement, hasn't contacted her since. Now let's talk about what the defense laid out to convince the judge to grant him bail. They say that there was no trafficking, there was no coercion, that this was a loving relationship between two consensual adults that lasted a decade. His defense attorney says that what Diddy is guilty of is cheating on Cassie just like she cheated on him, and they had a mutually toxic relationship. Let's quickly talk about that surveillance video that was taken at the Intercontinental Hotel where you see Diddy physically assaulting Cassie. Now, prosecutors say that that happened after a freak off when Cassie was trying to get away. Defense has a whole different story. They say that Cassie woke Diddy up by hitting him over the head with a phone when she found out that he had other girlfriends he was messing with, and then she started packing up the only clothes that he had into those bags that she's seen carrying and tried to get away, which they say explains why he only ran out of the room with a towel on. They claim that this was a mutually toxic relationship and that Cassie was stepping out on Diddy too, and it only ended after she fell in love with the personal trainer that Diddy got for her. The defense attorney then insinuated that maybe Cassie wasn't happy at home after having 2 kids with the trainer, and that I gotta look at my notes for this one, and that she realized that she had things pretty good with Diddy because she had her lawyer contact his lawyer and said that she was writing a book and that he could buy the rights to that book for $30 million. Diddy's attorney goes on to say that he refused, that she got herself another lawyer that convinced her to file that November lawsuit and call what happened consensually sex trafficking so that she can eventually get him to settle, which he did for a large amount. They wouldn't say how much. I hope you're keeping up. His attorney also listed all the preemptive steps that Diddy took in order to gain the court's trust so that he could be granted bail, including handing over his passport to his attorneys, paying off a $50 million home, trying to sell his jet, which he was unsuccessful in, as well as voluntarily letting his attorneys know so that they could let the government know anytime he traveled domestically. Lastly, I want to point out that prosecutors cited the R. Kelly case, the Jeffrey Epstein case, and the Keith Raniere case as they argued why Diddy should be denied bail, given that he's a flight risk. And now Diddy will remain in federal detention until his next court date.